What changes are required in terms of governance to ensure an organization is truly embracing the Agile spirit rather than playing at Agile theatre? And for me, this is a really simple one, because many companies, they get the consultants in, they get rubber stamped for being Agile, and they carry on doing what they were basically doing before, but with some new words. And most people are a bit confused, but the boss seems happy and the consultants are richer, so all is good with the world. No, that's not what we're after. Okay, we're after fundamental changes in how you work, which means your governance is going to shift. When I talk about this, I'm immediately thinking, starting very much at your roadmaps. If we stay inside your program or your product, your roadmaps, do you have a bunch of features? Okay. And if you do, how quickly do they change? Okay. What's the percentage of features that you deliver? And if we look at it today in 12 months' time, or if we look at what you've delivered today, what did you think you would 12 months ago? Okay. And there's going to be some change. And anecdotally, sort of 50-50 whether or not they get it, because how you solve problems changes as technology changes, as the market changes, as the business needs change. All of this stuff impacts. But what doesn't change as much are the whys, the goals behind it. So what I'm looking for at that level is not a bunch of features on your roadmap. It's the goals. It's the reasons you would build those features. And you may have a goal that you're working on now, and one that's coming up next. And then beyond that, there's just a list of goals, and they may be repeating, because you know what companies like? I'm focused on revenue generation now, and somewhere in the future, I'm probably going to focus on it again, and how to grow my business. So they can repeat, because business needs change. And this is a good level of governance. Senior leaders can look at this and say, this matters to my business now. This matters for this. I don't care about that. Very easily, they don't have to worry about the detail. And it flows down from there. Imagine your backlog is just what you as a team or set of teams can think of to achieve a goal. If you're about revenue generation, what are all the things that you can think of today to move the needle and make more money? Okay? And you will work on those for as long as it makes sense, either because you've achieved the current goal, we want a 5% increase in revenue and we hit 5%, or something else becomes more important. And this in itself becomes a fundamental change in how you approach it, how you fund things, and of course, how you govern them. Because what we're doing is effectively at the end of every sprint, in every sprint review, asking the question, have we achieved the goal? Yes or no? And if no, is it still the right goal to be chasing? And if it is, we continue working on the backlog exactly as we do today. But if it isn't, we can change to a new goal. So gone is thinking of things in years and quarters, and instead focusing on what matters this time round the loop. However long that cycle is, what matters now? Okay? Now you can govern things at a much more finer grain. You can ensure your money is being spent on sensible things every few weeks. And this is a fundamental change. Why do we fall into quarterly planning? Because the accountants like it. But it has nothing to do with product development. It doesn't neatly fit into 12 weeks. Okay? It might only take you 2 weeks or 4 weeks to achieve a current goal. That 5% gain in revenue, maybe somebody does something and it explodes and it's amazing. And you're at 8% at the end of the first sprint. Well, now we've got an option, because we've tied ourselves to goals, because we can look at it. Is this goal still worth pursuing? We wanted 5, we've got 8. Maybe we hang around a bit more because we can make something happen. Or maybe because we've hit the target, the senior leaders are thinking, well, instead of revenue generation, let's look at keeping our customers on board. Let's look at retention rates, work on that. Traditional organizations would potentially be locked in for 3 months about raising their growth, growing revenue. But a truly agile organization has recognized we've done enough there and we're going to move on to something more important. And they're doing that weeks before their competitors. So what we need to do when we're thinking about decision making, when we're thinking about metrics, when we're thinking about governance in agile organizations, is challenge the traditional thinking. Why do we do things this way? How do they support the delivery of a great product? How do they support the ability for an organization to change its mind based on what it's learned? Agile governance, rapid ability to change your mind, requires real discipline. And we need to work with leaders on that. They can't change it because the winds have changed. They need to change it because the strategic intent has changed. The reasons behind the goal have shifted. And it's no longer correct to chase it, either because we've exceeded or achieved the goal, or we're close enough and it doesn't really matter. And something else is more important. But that's what all of this is about. When you're doing these things correctly, when you've really embraced the agile spirit, what we see is at many, if not all levels of an organization, that ability to use the data in front of us, the organizational and the product intent, their strategies, to work out what matters, and then very quickly, if not immediately, change direction to capture that intent.